Welcome to Two Women in Crypto, a weekly podcast birthed on a whim by two women who are excited about the cryptocurrency landscape and have a shared passion about empowering others to step into the digital, tokenized world of the future. We offer tips, tricks, and our own individual insights as to how to begin to navigate this shift. We are not financial advisors nor experts. We are just here to encourage you to look at the possibilities. So welcome to the future. You're right on time.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly.
Number
How are you?
I'm well.
My gosh, 2023.
Wild.
It's going to be a wild, wild year. It already is. I mean, it's January 5th.
I know.
Sam Bankman pleaded not guilty.
So I know that I sent you a link about Whitney Webb, but, you know, she's an amazing investigative journalist. And I was listening to a little clip of her on a program called Redacted. She was on Redacted yesterday, which is a great news program. I encourage anybody to go. It's on YouTube. They stream live, I think, 4 days a week. And she was on there yesterday speaking about SBF as well. So interesting what's going on. Such a convoluted series of events.
Yeah, it really is. You know, and I was listening to a bunch of people too. And I think since Ellison and the other, I forget who the other executive was, like Wang or something, it wouldn't be unreasonable for Sam to come back and plead guilty. So he's not going to get out of it. I mean, you know, like there's criminal intent there. So, you know, if for everyone listening, like if Kelly and I put money on FTX, we would have to sign a contract to say, hey, it's okay for you to take our funds and send them to the Ukraine or send them to the political party of the United States, both Democrat and Republican. Right. No one agreed to that.
Right. Absolutely.
So, I mean, you know, who knows? Maybe they'll make him seem unstable. But I mean, he's probably looking at like 100 years in prison. I just don't see how he's getting out of it. But hey, look, we live in a two-tiered system. This dude is living in his parents' $4 million home, you know, so, you know, there's rules for us and there's rules for them. And everybody needs to be fired up because this is going to become more and more intense this year. I think Kelly and I feel it and we see it.
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be a lot of turmoil out there, but at the same time, giving us opportunity to create brand new, brilliant landscapes. So it's that walking and balancing the scales. What are you going to do with the information that you know? Are you going to sit here and wallow in the uncertainty of it? Or are you going to say, hey, this is an opportunity to do this. Let me do this. So I'm a proponent of really leaning in, not only to the crypto landscape, but just the landscapes in general to understand so you can make educated decisions, listen to podcasts, really, you know, don't just go read a novel that's going to take your mind out of what's going on in the world. You might want to consider, and if there's no judgment either way, but there's so much going on.
Yeah.
We need to kind of know. In my opinion, I'm not, again, no judgment. I just want the best for everybody.
Yeah, and it's such a good point too about reading a novel. The best novel to read right now is real life.
Right? It's like truly, it's a bag of popcorn and shot of whiskey, whatever your pleasure is in that regard, what have you. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the next chapter of the novel begins January 16th.
Okay.
We have the Davos meeting with the World Economic Forum on their meeting the 16th to the 20th. And they're going to talk about the cooperation in a fragmented world.
Mm-hmm.
So I've listened to Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum. He did say that Americans were going to have it the hardest for the transition because we're very individualistic.
Was that recently that he spoke of that? Or was this long ago?
It wasn't a long time ago, but it was, you know, it's kind of during the transition. I've tried to find it, but And from now on, when I see things like that, I just have to email them and stay on top of things. But yeah, because he was talking about collectivism, which I'm all about community and we're all about it, right? I want to help my neighbor. I want to help my friends. I want to help anyone that I possibly can, but not like it can't be forced, right? So when we see things like 15-minute cities and, I don't know how people would feel like, okay, well, hey, you live in this $1 million home, you have an apartment downstairs. Why don't you take in someone who's struggling, I mean, it's got to be togetherness. So we'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm super excited to grab my popcorn, Kelly.
Hot sauce on popcorn, by the way, is really, really good. So
yeah,
spice it up.
Spice it up.
I'm sure that during this forum, which will be really interesting, and I'm sure you'll provide us snippets along the way, there will be lots of little shorts we can grab for enlightenment and education purposes, for sure.
Right. And it reminds me of last year when I was listening to Michael Evans, who, is the president of Alibaba. And, he's ready, like they're getting themselves ready to track every purchase that you make, where you go, how you buy things, what you eat. This is his words. And Alibaba is bigger than Amazon, in my opinion, because it encompasses so many different things. So they call Alibaba it's like the Chinese Amazon, but it's so much more than that. So the surveillance, the tracking, the monitoring, we're going to see what happens because people don't know in America yet. They still don't know. They're like, wow, eggs are like $9. But I don't think they understand why. So we're waiting, like with our popcorn on the sidelines, waiting for people to see what's going on so we can steer the ship and, either live in decentralized finance and just not change the system, but we change, right? We be the change we want to see in the world. And then we're like, look, this is what we're doing. We see communities popping up with the greater reset, not the great reset, the greater reset. They have a community out in Texas. They have a community in Mexico. They are choosing not to participate in mainstream society.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you're in it and when you go down these rabbit holes, it's difficult to keep participating when you understand what they do with your money.
It is. We were talking about that before we started recording this morning. So yeah.
So it's a lot. I'm super interested to see what the World Economic Forum has to say. Kelly and I taught a class about the Federal Reserve Bank, and every time after like a Bretton Woods moment, after a monetary reset, they created the IMF, they created the World Economic Forum, they created the World Bank. So we are heading towards the next monetary shift, and when I listen to, Klaus Schwab, he thinks that Xi Jinping from China is doing a fabulous job.
Yeah. Yeah, he's amazing.
No, I mean, the people are thriving.
Not so much currently.
They're under a surveillance state, and that's why we keep showing up every week and we do these videos because, if we don't have freedom, we have nothing. We can have $10 million in the bank. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So we need our freedom, or we opt out of the
15-minute cities, right? And I don't think a majority of the population really knows what a 15-minute city is. And I really didn't understand it, even though I knew it was happening already in the UK, what a 15-minute city is designed to do. And it's really to keep you contained within a perimeter, your whole life within a 15-minute commute of all things, and be rewarded for staying within that space or being prevented from exiting that space, perhaps. Who knows? I guess it depends where you live.
Yeah, I see it as like a concept, like a prison without walls. You know, like we're seeing this, you know, you can look it up. They're rolling them out right now in Oxford, you know, in London. So again, it's like, you know, you have to show your papers and, you know, for everybody listening, like, please share this information because this is Nazi Germany. It looks different. Okay. But like all this stuff that is going on, like it's all about show me your papers and we're going to restrict your movement. And the World Economic Forum wants the Constitution of the United States dissolved, one world government. And I think it could happen this year. And you know, when I look at these officials and how they infiltrated our governments, you know, you look at Trudeau, Newsom, like all these people, it's like I could see it kind of moving forward this year, especially with the central bank digital currency.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's good. It's like it's kind of like we got to get empowered, and that's like extreme centralization, and we are moving to a decentralized financial world, right? And that's how I look at it. You could participate in CFI, or you could join a group like Two Women in Crypto, or anyone that participates that resonates with you, and learn how to participate in decentralized finance.
Right. We're going to master it.
We're going to master it because when Christina Georgiva, when she talks about how 2023 is going to be a really rough economic year for the world, right? This is a worldwide issue. She's the chairman of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. You know, I'm just like, wow, you know, it makes me want to even learn more about decentralized finance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did. And I bet, right?
You need to.
This is what we're doing. So, you know, as like I look at the world and I'm like, the world's never going to be the same. Right? It's like, we're never going back. We're never going back to oil cars. You know, I think Elon Musk just filed a patent for electric motors in trains and airplanes.
Interesting.
We are not going back to an oil-based society. We're moving into the electric grid, which is needed for the surveillance, for driverless, autonomous Internet of Things, right? So I'm like, okay, so if I live in CFI, right, centralized finance, I will be tracked, traced, and monitored. But when I'm looking at, for example, Flare Finance, like Flare Network, their goal is to create a decentralized finance. And that's what they're doing. And they've been doing this for years. So remember back, I think it was December 13th, 2020, I put my coins on Coinbase. And again, that was a mistake. I never should have put my XRP on Coinbase, but I trusted Coinbase, especially a couple of years ago. I actually moved my coins from Ledger to participate in the snapshot to receive my one-to-one Flare tokens.
Right.
So now the Flare network is going live next week, and Coinbase is like, it's like technologically impossible for us to be ready to distribute the Flare tokens. Most people put their XRP tokens on Coinbase. We're going to wait and see what happens. I think we're going to get them, but not next week because the airdrop is next week.
So to give some people some history that are just really new to this whole landscape, I think it's important for people to understand how you were even able to get XRP on Coinbase because it's not available now. And correct me here, could I transfer my XRP today if I wanted to Coinbase? I don't think I can today. I mean, I just want people to know that you can't. It was pre everything. It
was pre SEC lawsuit.
Right.
And it was pre anything, right? We were pretty much in a bear market. Interesting though. So when I moved my coins over, and again, it's like there's so much to talk about. So I'm glad. Just keep stopping me because I'll be like squirrel. But so let's just back it up. So for everyone that put their tokens on Coinbase or any participating like Binance, any exchange, you will receive for every XRP token 1 Flare token next week. Unless you're on Coinbase, you have to wait. Flare Network is bringing smart contracts to the XRP ledger. Okay.
Smart contract. Sorry, I'm going to get a little minutia here. Can you
so what is a smart contract? Smart contracts are like, so hey, Kelly, I'm going to come over and I'm going to paint your house, and we're going to create a smart contract on top of the Flare network. And as soon as I finish painting your house, you're going to send me a basket of goodies, right? Boom, we agree. And as soon as I paint your house, that smart contract, it's automated. There's no human intervention. We're cutting out the middlemen. This is the new financial system. Okay, so now it's super exciting because Ethereum, right, is the largest smart contract platform in the world.
Yeah.
It's also centralized now because they sold out the Flare network. And again, it was kind of been my theory. Ethereum is becoming more and more centralized. XRP ledger, Flare network, more and more decentralized. Very interesting because everyone hates XRP. Oh, it's a banker's coin. It's this, it's that. It's like, what is it? It's nothing. It's not even money. This is technology. This is not money. This is not gold or silver. This is code. This is code, right? So anyway, I'm doing the deep dive, and I've been watching all these different decentralized finance networks, right? Because this is my background, it's finance, right? So I'm in the Flare network, and I'm like, okay, so now I'm supposed to be getting these Songbird tokens, part of the, if you participated in the snapshot, you're going to get 1-to-1 Flare tokens. You're also going to get Songbird tokens, which I don't know if Coinbase has given us Songbird tokens. Who knows? But anyway, it was enough for me to start researching this because I want to know what I own. Wouldn't you know? Songbird is the canary network, the test network for Flare. So what is that? So if I'm a developer and I create an amazing application, I want to test that application before I put it live on like a main net. So that testing environment, that canary environment, is a test network. Kusama is the test network for Polkadot. Kusama's all-time high is over $650. It's currently at $22.
Right.
Go look at the charts at Kusama. Songbird is over 100% in 2 days because we're getting ready to do the airdrop, right? The Flare tokens are coming. Songbird, everyone's going to be like, oh my God, we're developing on the Flare network. All these developers are going to come and develop and test their applications on Songbird. It's 2 cents. You can buy it on Uphold. You can transfer it to your SafePal hardware wallet.
Yeah, there you go.
And I will be teaching a class for 2 Women in Crypto and teach everybody how to participate in the Flare network because it's very important. This is the future of finance. And when you look at things like Kusama, what if? I'm not saying that these projects can't go to zero, but I am saying that the Flare network is focused on decentralization, bringing smart contracts not only to XRP Ledger, but I believe to Stellar, to Litecoin, to Doge. Maybe they all won't make it, but the ecosystem is being built out. And I think that this is something through my research, my personal opinion, not financial research, but this is where I'm going to be really participating in because I've been watching this since 2020 and I'm very excited.
It looks like you might also, for those that have been with Andrea and I in a while, it looks like you can also swap USD for Kusama, possibly in your SafePal device, just so you know.
Yeah, I tried to do it for Songbird and I couldn't. So thanks for bringing that up with Kusama. I think Uphold pays a very hefty interest rate on Kusama as well.
If you leave it on Uphold. If you
right, which we don't want to do. But we could buy Songbird, leave it for 4 days and get it to your wallet. And then I'll be teaching how to stake, how to participate in decentralized finance for Songbird.
Sweet. Looking forward to it.
I mean, that's pretty big news, you know. And again, it's like when you look at the ecosystem for Ethereum, Polkadot, you know, what if Flare Finance is the next big thing?
Right.
Is it worth, you know, like if you think about, okay, well, I bought some Songbird tokens, SGB, right? So I bought some Songbird tokens and I invested like $100 and I got like 5,000 of them. Well, wouldn't you want to have 5,000 Kusama tokens?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right? At $20, that's $100,000. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I like my odds.
Yeah. Yeah. And this, of course, is financial advice. Everybody needs to lean into what their risk ratio is. What does it look like for, you know, their environment, their financial environment, not putting everything into one particular project or another. But yeah, it's good information to have.
And it's really good because if you do want to participate into decentralized finance, you don't even have to invest any money, but you could go through the process. Like that's what I do with all these different platforms. I go through the process to learn more and more about them, to learn about, you know, the entire ecosystem of Polkadot and Algorand and Cardano, you know, which I'm very bullish on.
Yes, we big Charles fan.
Right. So again, it's like you know, when I think about Cardano, when Hydra comes out, which is this year, you're looking at transactions per second more than Visa, MasterCard with 3,000 nodes that Google isn't taking control over because he wouldn't do the venture capitalist, you know, investments. That's why people bash Charles. Right? Because he didn't sell out like Ethereum did.
No, it's going to be a really fun thing to watch this year for crypto across the board. But these special projects like what Cardano has been holding on to, right? And not caving in, as you speak of.
Right. You know, and dropping out of the World Economic Forum. You know what I mean? And again, it's like, you know, when I think about the World Economic Forum and the IMF, like no one elected these people. You know, they took advantage of a crisis, which they always say, don't let a good crisis go to waste. Whenever the governments create a crisis, they provide the solution, which is the IMF, the World Bank, the World Economic Forum. We did not elect these people. And it's such a shame that, especially with here in America, like, you know, we weren't taught what made America so special, why the Constitution was so special. We're not following the Constitution. You know, we're living with rule without law. You know, I looked at Target, the amount of theft that happened. We are living in a society without law, you know, so, you know, I just see like so the governments are creating these crises. They're allowing people to steal. You know, they're allowing mass immigration without a plan, without any of these things. And it's going to cause more and more chaos. So then when we have a crisis, the Federal Reserve Bank, the IMF, these people are going to swoop in and be like, oh, we have the solution. You know, let's monitor track and trace every step you make, every move you make, and you will be happy, you know? And that's just not true, but we'll see. Really interesting thinking of all of that, because I think the World Economic Forum is thinking, how is the metaverse going to be built? Right? I'm like, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I think about what it looks like from a very different perspective. We should be leaning into how is this going to be built. So go ahead.
So it's kind of like I was listening to all these different interviews. And so like you put your VR headset on, it's clunky. It's kind of like AOL, you know, when we first got the internet, it was clunky. It didn't work really well. But now we have Sony releasing their VR February. So that's next month. Their headset's coming out next month. Apple, end of the year. So we want to watch these things, right? Because they're not stopping. And I think a big part, like, think about it. If you live in a 15-minute city, but you want to go and see your grandmother who lives in the town over, but that's more than 15 minutes away, you're going to have to put your headset on. Maybe talk to each other through a hologram. Not a high-tech, high-touch situation, right? So I think we'll rise, you know, or, you know, we'll all meet in Green Bank, West Virginia, where there's no Wi-Fi signal, and live in 5-degree weather.
Bring your parka.
Bring your parka, right? But I mean, you know, it's just, one, it's so fascinating to watch this whole thing roll out, right? I mean, we saw this coming. We've been in this together, and it is really fascinating. I just want to see humans thrive, not just survive, right? Not survive and put your headset on and get your food out of the vending machine. I think we can do better than this, but it's up to the collective. Like, I agree with Klaus Schwab. We need the collective.
Right. Absolutely. Got to learn. Got to figure out what's going on here. Wow.
Yeah. You gotta step out of line, like Kelly says. Yeah. And in the interim, I'm starting to get really concerned about the economy, right? Not that everyone is in, right?
Yeah, it's interesting the take on that, because if you lean into what everybody's saying, obviously energetically it feels a little wonky out there, and it is wonky. But then on the other end of the spectrum, there's those that are not looking at it like that. So it's interesting.
People don't want to look at it. I'm not a financial person. Right. I mean, I'm like, okay, but are you for freedom, or are you willing to obey? Are you willing to have a master in your life that's going to tell you who, what, when, where, how, why? I mean, I get so frustrated, especially when I talk to some of my friends. I'm just astounded, right? But again, I get it. I'm in this 24/7. I see how important this all is. Right. I understand my background's in tech. There's no judgment, but there will come a time where a human being is going to have to face confrontation, and they don't like that.
No, they don't. No, and there's that part of, well, I'm cold or I'm hungry and I need to do it. Let's do it quickly. We've become so accustomed to the modern conveniences of speed and just getting something done versus taking a few extra steps to facilitate the actual end result you really want. Yeah.
Right. Which I think is a good segue of why it's so important to get a Glint card. I know there's a charge. I think every time, like, a Glint card is a prepaid, I think it's a MasterCard. You prepay it, but you're holding your balance in grams of gold. Your gold is being held by a vault outside this country.
Right.
And I'm starting to get really concerned about the speed of which the prices of food and energy is going up. That's called hyperinflation. when the velocity of like eggs, right? They were $4, $5, $6. Now they're $9, right? $8. So the speed is speeding up. That's hyperinflation. So every time you get paid, you can buy less and less things because the price, your money is being devalued. And there's so many macroeconomic factors that are, there's so many things in play. But again, it's like just to put some money on a prepaid Glint card that's grams of gold, even though it's a $3 fee, even though it's a monthly charge to hold your gold in the vault, when the dollar becomes worthless, I'm telling everyone, you will be grateful and appreciative that you had some money on a Glint card, because you're still going to need to eat your eggs or whatever you eat, right? So as the dollars get devalued, your gold on your Glint card will go up in value because it's gold. It's grams of gold. It's not dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had my Glint card for a while, coming up on a year now. Wasn't it about a year ago that we found it?
Yep. Yep. And it's just the type of thing where, we're not using it. We're just holding it because we can never time when, right, Kel? We don't know when the market's going to fall, when we're going to have, a dollar crisis. I mean, just depending on who you speak to, we're in a dollar crisis now. If you can't afford energy, right, and food, that's a dollar crisis for our brothers and sisters, right?
Well, and even taking all of that off the table, what's wrong with having a Glint card just for a rainy day, period?
Right.
It just makes sense to me.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. Lots going on. So I think before we enter into the no bueno zone, I think we need like sound effects to be like,
I bet I can find some eventually here.
Okay, so instead of going into like the Twilight Zone, it's like you're now entering the no bueno zone. Like, prepare. So like we're humans, and when we're scared, with the Davos meeting coming up, they know what they're gonna do. And when I say they, I mean the IMF, the World Economic Forum, the World Bank, all these players. I hear Jerome Powell. They're all saying the same thing. This is going to be a tough economic year. So I want everyone to research and look to diversify your funds. Okay? Because when the Fed raised interest rates every single month, we didn't feel it. We will feel it this year, right? So there's always a lag. There's always a lag, and we're seeing it now.
Yeah. What a way to start off a new year. Whoop, whoop.
Right? But again, it's like, I get it. And at the same time, I get like the electricity rolls through my body because of the flare network, right? So I am not scared. I am excited. Right. And no matter what happens, we're energy, right? We're just energy. We're emotions, energy, emotion. We're whatever, whatever resonates with you. But it's like, this is the most fascinating time to be alive. We've never experienced anything like this before,
And it's really electric to that point, going to the fact that in this iteration we happen to be humans. Who knows what will be in the next iteration, in my gnosis, if you will. But yeah, it is. It's fascinating to lean in and watch all of it. And I say it all the time. I'm a broken record, but I do find it truly, truly invigorating in many ways, because it's challenging everything we thought we knew.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm just really grateful to be on this journey with you, my dear.
Likewise.
It really takes a village. I mean, there's just so many people that don't understand, and you could feel really lonely, Yeah,
absolutely. I think there's some conversations that can be held within the context of certain circles, but if you try to broach those subjects, it's with everybody, any subject. I mean, it's not just this. There's just in some formats, you can be more transparent about how you feel about things, and not in an attacking way, just in an aware way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, all right. So we got our class coming up. I'm hoping to do it in 2 weeks. Stay tuned, Kelly. Let's text and confirm that date.
Yep, it's scheduled.
Got our ISO class coming up. We're going to talk about carbon credits in the following class after this one. So we have an awesome start to 2023, because we're seeing these systems get built out, so we might as well prosper from it in this new year.
Yep, sounds good. Stay tuned for those dates. We'll have them for you by next Friday's podcast, and if not announced prior, but I guess until then,
we're going to hodl on.
Hodl on.
Your hosts for Two Women in Crypto are Andrea Caldero and Kelly Lair. You'll find more information and details regarding the Two Women in Crypto membership, educational and informative class and event offerings, and more via their website, twowomenencrypto.com. Both Andrea and Kelly are available for speaking events and offer private consultations focused on helping individuals navigate the future. Until next time, hodl on.